Hello, it's the very end of March now, and what I'm going to do is, I should have done these a little while ago, but I've just been doing all sorts of other things, but it's not too late. I'm going to sow my parsnip seeds today. Now, the variety I've got is a very popular one. They're called Gladiator. There we go. There are all sorts of different varieties out there, and it's entirely up to you which one you prefer. I like Gladiator. They seem to have grow lovely roots. They're nice and large and long and firm, and they're brilliant. They're really, really nice and very, very tasty. Now, you can sow, most parsnips can be sown from sort of February through to sort of April. The earlier you sow them, the longer they take to come through. So if you do sow them in February, just give them a bit of extra time, because they prefer it to get a little bit warmer and then they'll pop through. Whereas if you sow them in sort of March, beginning of April time, then they tend to come through quite quickly. There's something that you can sow directly outside. They are quite a long investment because they are in the soil for quite a while. You won't be harvesting them until you've had at least 1 or 2 decent frosts. So they can be in the soil, and you can, you know, the ones that I'm about to plant now, I could still be harvesting in like February next year. So I'm only going to do 1 line, but the line itself is about 2 meters. So that's okay, that's fine. That's just right for us. So let me show you how I sow mine. Now, what I've done here is I've made a little trough. I've dug out the soil. First of all, make sure that you dig the soil over and you remove any weeds, because you don't want the weeds to grow. And all I've done is I've made a little trough in the soil, which is about 1 centimetre, sort of 1/2 inch deep. And just make sure that the soil, if your soil is really hard and really solid, then make sure you get the fork down to break it up. And if you do have any large stones, then remove those, because if the parsnip grows down and hits a stone, then it will split. Now, what I'm going to do before I sow these is I'm going to water in this trough. So just using water from the tap, just give your trough a good water like that. And before you sow the seeds, wait for the water to go through. Now, the reason why I put water in here is 2 reasons. First of all, the seeds will stick to it when you sprinkle them on. And also, the other reason is that they're immediately in contact with water, so they could start to germinate a little bit earlier. And then if you do water from the top, like most people do, it doesn't shift to the seeds. Now, be very careful when you're sowing parsnip seeds, because if it's windy, they will blow all over the place. So only put a few in your hand at a time. Now, it's not windy, but there is a little gentle breeze, which is enough to blow these seeds. Now, the germination rate for parsnips is usually pretty good, but the older they get, the less likely they are to germinate. Now, I'm going to open my hand very carefully, because I don't want them to blow away, so that you can hopefully see the seeds. Oops, there they are there. And you can see that even the tiny little bits of breeze that we get is actually shifting those. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use my thumb and my finger just to take a pinch, and then I am just going to carefully drop them in the little trough that I've made. If some are a little bit close to each other, that's absolutely fine, but just think about how wide they should get. Oh, there's another bit of grass, don't want that. And just think that they will need a little bit of space to grow. I've confused the chickens now because I've put some wire up round here because I don't want them to come on this bed and scratch, and they're a little bit cross with me now because they're going, but we used to be able to play on this and you won't let us anymore. So I'm sure they'll get over it. Anyway, I'll carry on and do this row, but before I do, what I'll show you, once you've sprinkled them in, then all you need to do is very carefully just cover the seeds with a little bit of soil, just so that they're nestled in there nice and happily. You can't come up here, my love. And make sure that you put a stick at the beginning and at the end of the line, and also a label. So I will carry on, and when I've finished I will come back and show you. Well, that's my parsnip seeds all in. If you are doing more than one row, I would suggest you have about 9 inches between each row so that it gives them space to grow and to spread, and also gives you space to get down in between and weed. Now, hopefully these should start coming through in about 3 weeks' time. I won't water them for a couple of days because I've just watered the trough now, and that should be enough. The temperature is supposed to get quite warm tomorrow, say quite warm, about 18, which is lovely, but then it's supposed to dip again. So just keep an eye on the soil. If it feels dry, then give it a water, and hopefully in about 3 weeks' time they should start coming through. But I will keep you updated on their progress, and hopefully when I do, it won't be the April sort of, you know, this is how the garden's getting on, because it's only a few days away. Hopefully by the time we come to May, some of the seedlings will start to come through. Well, I hope you're growing parsnips this year. They really are a lovely vegetable. I know some people don't like them, but I think they're sweet, they're lovely, absolutely glorious roasted, really, really nice. Well, I hope you found what I've shown you useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.